Today I will discuss a big problem found within the Quran, specifically in chapter 20. Now, to be fair, I'm going to give an overview of the chapter, a summary of what happens, and it primarily deals with Moses, his birth, his calling, him going to Pharaoh, the crossing of the sea, and even the golden calf incident. And that's primarily where I want to focus my time, is the golden calf incident. And this can be found in Surah chapter 20, verse 85. That's where it starts. And it says, "He said, indeed, we have tested your people in your absence, and the Samaritan has misled them." Then Moses went back to his people, angry and sad. He said, "My people, hasn't your Lord promised you a fair promise? Did the time appointed, did it appear too long for you, or did you wish that wrath from your Lord would come upon you, so that you broke your promise with me?" They said, "We did not break our promise with you of our own will, but we were laden with the burdens of the ornaments of the people." Then it threw them, for that was what the Samaritan proposed. It goes on and says, "Then he produced for them a calf of saffron color, which gave forth a lowing sound, and called out, 'This is your God and the God of Moses.' But he has forgotten." Jumping down to verse 95, it says, "He said, 'And what have you to say, Samaritan?' He said, 'I perceived what they did not perceive. So I seized a handful from the footsteps of the messenger and then threw it in. In this way my soul prompted me.' He said, 'Go. And indeed in this life it is for you to say, do not touch me, and indeed there is for you an appointment that you cannot break. Now look up on your God to which you have remained devoted. Indeed we will burn it and scatter its dust over the sea.'" In this narrative, you may have noticed the Samaritan, and he's interesting because he does not actually exist in the time frame that we're dealing with, because we have to remember where we're at in history. We're dealing with the Exodus, which happened in 1446 BC, and Samaria was not founded until 879 BC by the sixth king of the northern kingdom of Israel, King Omri, and a reference is 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 24. So let's do some math. Let's take 1446, the date of the Exodus, and subtract 879 BC, and we get 567 BC. So what does that mean? That means that Samaria was not founded until 567 years after the death of Moses. So that means that the Samaritan could not have been in the story of the golden calf, because the city did not exist and neither did the people. So what am I saying? I'm saying that once again the Quran has had an error with what it's trying to report, and that is not a good place for the Quran to be, considering it says that it is the word of Allah. Well, if it's the word of Allah, then you would expect, because the Quran says that Allah knows everything, that he would have known that the Samaritans do not exist during the time of the Exodus. So I think this is just one more reason to reject the Quran and ultimately Islam.